everyone. Fred and I wanted to welcome you back to our channel. In episode 2, we talked a little bit about some thread drops that we had made for our kitted up embroidery projects and showed you briefly what those cards look like, as you will see right here. And I mentioned that this was a way for me to divide up an entire bobbin of embroidery floss amongst multiple projects. So if I had colors in kitted up for several projects, that I would cut just a certain amount of floss to make that possible. So that way I wasn't having to kind of keep track of where each color was or how much of it I had in a project left to use. That way I could divide and conquer, or even if I knew I needed multiple skeins and I went to the store, then that way I could keep just the amount that I needed, for maybe a smaller project separate. So anyway, so this video was designed, or is going to be about how I did this. So I will put a link down below to show you my inspiration of how I did this. I've got some tools here, so I'm going to show you kind of what I did. But just as a background, I was watching an episode here on YouTube. I believe it was the Steel City Stitchers with Jody, and she did, actually it may have been on Caterpillar Cross Stitches YouTube channel, but she is also part of Steel City Stitchers, and she did just a little intro into the way that she organized her embroidery floss, and part of that was organization in general. A lot of people keep the plastic boxes of all their floss just usually sorted by color. This is kind of a small example because this would only hold, just a few bobbins. But the bigger boxes, have like individual rows. And they would keep their entire, basically, collection of floss, whether it's DMC or it's, specialty hand-dyed floss, but they keep them in those boxes. And for most of us, we put them on the bobbins like this, and then we, try to keep track of what number or what, who the maker dyer was, either the color name or the color code. Like in this case, these are all DMCs. But then she also went on to talk about kitting up her individual projects and how she kept that organized for the sake of especially for stitchers who have multiple projects going on at the same time, which there are a lot of people that don't. A lot of people are very monogamous with their stitching. They only buy what they need. They only stitch on one thing at a time. But sometimes you get, especially like around the holidays, like Valentine's Day or Christmas, especially around the holidays at the end of the year, you find yourself attracted or wanting to do multiple projects, either for gifts or for yourself, but just to kind of keep yourself motivated, or just because you're just a real crafty person. So in her video, she talked about how there are a lot of companies, the typical thing you find is a kit that sells these plastic bobbins, couple hundred in a pack, maybe even with a ring to put them on, or you buy the big box and it comes with 100 or so of these, so you can put your bobbins in the box. But there are companies that specialize, especially in specialty flosses, where they actually card up their flosses very nicely. I'll show you here. Hold on. So I subscribe to Forbidden Fiber, and this is kind of like their business card, sort of, but where basically you know who it is, you know how much you're getting, and any kind of wash instructions or content, what it's made from, and then they'll put the color, either the color number and or name So they do, kind of a large business card. But you can also find people on Amazon and Etsy shops and wherever that also sell like coordinated kits or sell their custom, kits or whatever. And that's what they do, is they have these little cards. Now, if you noticed on the other ones, her holes are a bit bigger. Mine are a bit smaller just because I did these based on what I had to work with. But I want to show you how you can do these yourself with fewer little known materials. And like in the case of mine, what gave me the inspiration or the tools to do this, just stuff that I already had and things that I already had sort of plans to make these anyway, or something similar to this, but I kind of took it one step further to use it to create these embroidery floss cards. So I'm going to start by showing you some of the tools I have here. You don't need any of this. You can actually probably, more than likely, use just the stuff that you know that you have around the house. I don't feel like this is something that you will have to go out and buy anything. So as an example, I keep cards that were given to me with, coworker Christmas gifts or whatever, but have really pretty pictures. And I always kept them with the thought that I would use these. I mean, some of them I keep, they have lovely handwritten notes in them. I keep those. The majority of these they were put in a birthday gift from a coworker. They were sent with a gift that was sent in the mail, but nothing personal really, or anything that I felt like I needed to hold on to. There's any kind of sentimental value, but very, very pretty, just really pretty designs. And wouldn't that, just taking that would make a really cute, originally I thought, a gift tag. And I've had this Fiskars gift tag cutter for quite a while, kind of with that intention, but with other intentions as well. And then this came along and I thought, wow, this would be great. But also, instead of, you could take these, literally are cardboard inserts that came with, something that I purchased that was used to keep the thing that I was buying stiff. Maybe it was cardstock or scrapbooking paper or something like that. But I always keep these cardboard inserts. One, because they're good for cutting up patterns for sewing, because they make really, really easy retraceable over and over again. Something that's a little more sturdy that will lend itself for quite a while to the life of, using it. But again, in this case, these would make really great, it's a good sturdy material, just like these cards are, would make really good tags. And the nice thing about this is you kind of have two sides to go with. You could let your child sit there and draw a picture for you that then you punch out and turn into a tag, or even punch out the tag first and then let them draw afterwards. But you can also, before or afterwards, again, punch out a tag decorated with stickers. So I've got a couple of sticker sheets here, just some things I've had laying around. So I'll show you guys some different ways that you can actually make a little more personalized thread. Basically, the tags that you need to thread the floss through. And I will add a couple of things here. What you see here are my tools, my supplies. I'm not sponsored by anybody. None of this is, I'm not drawing or trying to get any anything off of doing this video. This is just something more of an informational thing. But if you see something and would like more information on where I found it, I'll try my best, or I can send you in the right direction, so to speak, as far as where you can find some of these things. I'll say up front, the stickers, I'm pretty sure in both cases were probably part of, like this, I think was part of an old subscription box. And these are literally like when you go to the grocery store, in the stationery section, there'd be like a package 12 or Hallmark over in the Hallmark section of any of the retail stores. You know, they would have stickers. So these I'm not so sure about. Some of these other things I might be able to point you as far as tools go, where you might be able to find those things. So let's get started. First, I will show you what I did, my original thought process. So this is a tag punch. As you can see here, I don't know if you can see the action, but basically the blade of the cutter is in the shape of that tag. And these are roughly, I don't think it's on the machine, but I want to say they're like 1.5 inch tags. They're about 2.25 inches long. And yeah, about 1.5 inches wide. So 2.25 inches this way. There's actually another little lump right here. 2.25 this way, 1.5 this way. So that's the size punch I'm using. They make them in all different sizes, and I actually have some teeny weeny ones too. But I realized pretty quickly that that doesn't hold a whole lot of thread, and it doesn't hold up to a whole lot of wear. So this one, I like this size just because it does actually create a nice tag. So the next thing I did was I took whatever card I had. More than likely, there's usually not any decoration on the back, but I've had some cards in the past that have. So either I would, I wonder if I could do this. Yeah, I can. Either I would split just the decorated portion off, so that way I know what I'm working with, and the other part just recycle. Or something to that effect. If there was decoration on the back, I might save it. Not one of those, but I actually had some where there's some decoration that went all the way across the fold, so I actually cut a tag right down the center fold, and it works just fine, but, you know, it's just to capture as much of the decoration as possible. So then the next thing I did was I decided or chose which portion, and honestly, this card, even just the random pink polka dots would serve as a cute tag. But what's nice about this cutter is you can actually see the card where it is in your field. So you can kind of tell right away what portion of that card is actually going to be punched out. And I try to use as much of the card as I can. One, just not to waste a whole lot, but two, in maximizing how many of these thread drops I can actually get out of one card. So this is one, and these are nice. This is actually a little slide out feature. It just stores the tag right in there. So you pop it up, and there's one tag. If you want, I'll actually leave this open so you can see. So now I know where I've punched one tag. So now I want to see if I can move this over just enough to get one more tag out of it if possible. So I'm going to go about right there. There's 2 tags. And again, they're not going to be exactly the same, but they're obviously going to be matching. Very, very, very cute. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and do the other 2 sides as well. So I'm going to do the ones that have just not quite as much pink to them. I'm wondering if I can take this off so you can kind of see. So at the top there, I have to kind of be careful because obviously my previous tags kind of overlap some of that, you know, some of the gap there. So I want to try to get as much of the paper, the cardstock as I can in the. So if you notice, like in this case, that top little portion didn't make it. So what I might do is just trim that off with scissors. I certainly don't want to leave. I mean, it's kind of pointy, but those kinds of things tend to snag on stuff. Let me see if I can get one more. It'll probably turn out about the same, but I've got a few more pink polka dots. So let's do one more here and just kind of see if we can get one more tag out of this really quickly. And 4. And again, yeah, I've got the little kind of pointed, but take my scissors and just very, very, very carefully, I'm not the straightest cutter in the world, but just kind of trim that off just so it's a nice smooth edge. So I've got a couple with gold polka dots and pink. I've got a couple with just random pink. So then the next thing is, and here's 4. So, you know, if I've got a small project, if I've got even a large project, but a lot of them are going to be on bobbins like the ones I showed you, and I just needed 2 or 3 extra colors on there, that's great. That's perfect. So then the next step usually is, let me put this back over here really quick, out of the way, is you want to make sure that you have a hole at the top. Well, it depends on what you call the top and the bottom. Some people like to hang their threads like this. Some people like to hang their threads like this. So basically it's up to you, but basically you want two holes. You want one towards one end and one towards the other. Basically one is going to serve as the hole you use to hang on your ring. The other is going to serve as the hole you keep your threads through. So this is just a standard hole punch. Now, I say standard, this is actually a slightly larger hole than what typical hole punches are. And I picked this one specifically because that hole is a bit larger. But I want to make sure, so I'm actually going to look at these from the back because I've got that piece that's been cut off of these. And I want to make sure that I clear it with enough room, because the other part of this is you don't want to punch that hole so close to the edge that over time that card starts to wear down and then fall apart. So there's one on one side like that. And then, and again, these don't have to be perfect. These are for you. These are just meant to be, you know, something to organize your floss and to. And this is 4 pieces of cardstock. So now you can see there's 2 holes there on each one of them. And again, you just want enough room to where this little bit of card does not wear out over time. So there you go. So once you're done with that, again, you just need to decide which way you honestly prefer your cards to hang. And it's not, I don't think it's probably just more of a personal preference to most people which way they prefer. But that is it. So then basically you have your deals. And as I showed you on mine, I'll write the color, the floss I'm putting on here. I've actually got some white right here. So I'll show you really quick. All I do is pull out enough to where I've got some to hang on there. Oop, there it goes. Then I will get my pen, and this is the color Blanc. Then what I do is I try to find a nice even length, and I go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with my thread. So that way my threads are all about the same length, and I don't worry quite so much about you know, cutting a piece that's too short or too long or anything like that. Then I double up. So so these are 6-strand, you know, DMC. So I have 6 here doubled up. Then what I do is I take this loop, and I tried to find a crochet hook that was just slightly smaller than this So, and this gets to be a little bit tricky. It took me a little bit of practice to make this work. But essentially all I'm doing is I am pulling, using the hook on the crochet hook to pull that thread through that hole and then pull it through the loop. This is not as easy as it looks, kids. Okay, like that. So once I've got it looped through, then I just pull it the rest of the way. And that's it. And there's my thread. And then usually what I'll do is I will cut these ends. Because if you ever watch some of the other ladies that cross stitch, truly what they do then is when they're ready and they need a strand of white, they go in and they just grab one of the strands on here. Just one though. I think I've kind of got a hold of two there. Just basically grab a hold of one and pull it. It looks like magic when they do it. I can't do it very well because I'm trying to record this at the same time. But basically they just pull it straight through, pull it straight out. And then they've got their, their one strand that they're working on. And then, yeah, I was going to see if I could straighten that back out a little bit. But that's your floss loop. It's kind of a mess now. But yeah, so that's that. So, and you've got, you could find, like I said, all kinds of greeting cards, anything that you think would match your project. So like in this case, if you're working on, maybe you've got a birthday party themed project, something, something you're giving to somebody's birthday, or like this is pink and gold. So maybe you're doing something with ice cream, or, it's almost Valentine's Day. So maybe you've got a pink and gold Valentine's Day project you're working on. But then that way you only pull as much thread as you think you need for your project. And then you can keep all the rest organized in your embroidery, floss, toolbox, or, kit it up. Maybe, like I said, with me, I had colors that were being used for multiple projects, and I just wanted to make sure I kept my threads with each kit. So that was the best way I knew how to do it, was to basically separate them out. Yeah, so it's great. So then I wanted to show you another option, because this isn't always available to everybody. Not everybody can buy or has these tools. I mean, a lot of people who have kids maybe have hole punches for, crafts and projects and stuff, but not all the time. So I wanted to show you guys another way to do this with much more minimal tools, and also with a way that doesn't require any kind of large, like I've got a bunch of greeting cards, saved up. So those were great for me. But maybe, like I said, you want your kids to help you with this. Maybe this is a fun project to get your kids involved with. So I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to do this. So some of the thread drops you may have seen out there are actually, they're kind of, the best way I can describe them, well, they're called thread drops for a reason, because they actually look like kind of large teardrops. And again, these don't have to be perfect. These are just for you, just for what you want to do. This one's a little bit small, but you just have to get good practice at it. I mean, just for what size you want to do. But essentially, I'm not going to work too hard at it. That's all you need. Or even more simply than that, just cut yourself a rectangle to a size that you want. And again, that's all you need. So from there, you do the same thing as before. You take your hole punch if you've got one. If you don't have a hole punch, you could, if you have like a craft knife or, like an X-Acto, you have to be a little more careful with those, because then you start, if you get a little fast and loose with them, things could go wrong. But again, At this point, you make one end part of, your ring, and then the other end. And these are plain white. There is nothing wrong with plain white. The other thing, though, that I mentioned was get your kids involved and let them, sit there and, if I can even get these off, decorate them with stickers. You've got a Valentine project you're working on, or like I said, just a project that your kids, you want your kids to be involved with. Let them pick out, stickers to put on the cards for you. And then again, when you're done, write the number, write the symbol. A lot of people write the symbol on the pattern, that corresponds with the number, both front and back. So, if your child wants to sit there and they want to doodle on it, literally draw a little flower. You can do all kinds of things. And this is, like I mentioned before, just an insert. So the other thing I did want to show you was, because of the size of this tag, I also have, this is a very large, as you can see, very large rounded punch. Now, I didn't want the big huge circles, but they do sell the big huge circles. So that's another option for you as well. You can also, with your hole punch, where'd the other ones go? You can make a larger circle out of, it just takes a few more punches. And it won't be perfect necessarily. You're not going to be able to get a perfectly round circle, but you can get a circle that's, or a space that is slightly larger. If you need more room, if you're putting more threads on your card. I have to be careful here because I'm getting really close to that edge there. But, so yeah, and I will also add, I'm not going to get it out, but they make these in different shapes. I will show you this particular one. I don't know if you saw it before, but I've got a star one. I wasn't sure how big the star was, so I did one circle and one star, and I realized that star was really tiny to fit any amount of thread in, so I made it the hole but they make them all different sizes. You could get bigger stars. I think they make hearts. So yeah, you can kind of just go crazy with this project. Like I said, and get your kids involved. You can decorate. Decorate them the way you want. You can, like I said, use cardstock. If you have heavy cardstock left over from scrapbooking, not the paper, not the actual paper, because that's just too weak unless you reinforced it, on the back, maybe with some cardstock. But I know some of the scrapbooking pads do have some thicker cardstock in them. So yeah, you can kind of have fun with these. So I hope you guys enjoyed this project. I just kind of wanted to share with you, something that I learned from another YouTube video, but then take it one step further and show you kind of the way that I felt I could do a creative matching, maybe thematic embroidery floss cards for my kitted up projects. And especially when you've got multiple projects going, this is just a great way to separate your colors out, especially when you're using the same colors over multiple projects. So again, guys, enjoyed it. Hope you did too. If you got any questions, post them below, and I will catch you guys next time. Happy stitching.